with Representative Harris, Richner, and Vance voting by proxy.
Committee, we're going to go into the 4 marijuana bills that were in order. With your concurrence, I thought maybe we would do our discussions on the first one because it kind of covers all of them. And then what we could do is vote on that one and then the next 3, if that's the committee would like to do that. Since we actually
Heard them all together?
well, what we'll do is we'll vote on them separately, but the discussion we have will be on the first one. And then,
And then we'll follow up with the discussion on these 3?
well, we could, but what I'm saying is that
Speak up. We could discuss them all in one time? I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Could you clarify again? I'm sorry.
well, what I was thinking is that, and maybe Sue can tell me if I'm going the right direction. I just kind of thought about this right now, but because these are so similar, yeah, we could kind of discuss them all at one time, and then we'll move the first one, discuss them all kind of one time, and then we'll move the second one, and if it's the privilege of the committee, we just vote on that one and vote on the next one and vote on that one. Now, if by the time we get to the third one and you forgot that you wanted to say something, I'm not going to object that we say something. You know, I mean, I just thought it would be a little more expeditiously. But it's kind of to all of us.
Mr. Chairman, just from some of the conversation I'm hearing with a few of us in and out, I'm thinking it might be more confusing for all of us that may have not been here for all of it, and maybe doing one bill at a time.
Well, I wasn't going to do all 4 of them. I was just going to ask the committee if we did discussion, we'd do it on the first one. And then I wasn't going to, if we got a little off of it, but go ahead. Representative Curtis.
I'm just Gursky, but I'm just wondering. I know us Democrats all look the same, but I'm just wondering if maybe just a nice gentleman agreement in the committee. Just I think what you're saying is that some of the arguments might be like broadly, and that if we could just refrain from repeating them over and over on each bill.
Yeah.
Is that
no,
okay?
Go ahead, Representative Smith.
And then, Chairman, I would add to that so we don't have somebody say, stay on this bill, because this is really on this bill and not this bill. And,
yeah.
That's what I was kind of going to, you know, and it would facilitate us all being able to talk about it, but yet we didn't have to re-talk about everyone. So let's just try this out. We'll just kind of float through it here. Would you move a motion on
Mr. Chairman, I would like to start the discussion if Ms. O'Connell could pass out some of the stats that we had on number of did you bring that? The number of doctors and recommendations?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Smith, I did put together just some statistics on the physicians. I didn't bring any other statistics for today, but I could get them. And I'm sorry, but I didn't make copies, so if you want to start your discussion, I'll go do that really quickly.
Okay.
Give me a second just to look at it. Mr. Chairman, I knew that, or I observed rather from the discussion that we were having on 340 that dealt with making a trigger to notify the medical board if there had been more than 25 recommendations. I think some people were wondering why did we come up with that number, and what Ms. O'Connell's going to be bringing back to us is we had ranges for doctors that were making one recommendation up to over 6,000. So when she gets back here, you'll be able to see that the 25, when we looked at Senate Bill 423, was kind of, here's where most of the doctors are. We wanted to take care of the doctors that were out there doing the caravans and that kind of stuff. So that's where that number came from, and I think you'll be able to see that pretty clearly. In March of 2011, we had 360 doctors registered with the program. 303 doctors had 20 or fewer patients. 10 doctors had 21 to 30, and 47 doctors had more than 30 patients. Of those 32, more than had 100 more. Excuse me. Of those, 32 had more than 100 patients. Does that make it clearer?
Any further discussion? Yes. Representative Curtis.
So I'm just going to briefly discuss in
Yes.
general all four so that you don't have to listen to me again, and then I'll be quiet.
No, it's not for you to be quiet.
The legislature passed medical marijuana without any real sideboards at all. And the million-mile high sideboards that were put on with Senate Bill 423 made practical use as a medicine illegal. The injunctions that were the injunctions put on by the court facilitated limited use, and we saw the number of card holders drop from 30,000 to 8,000 with those injunctions. We would have had zero without those injunctions. The effect would have been no medical marijuana program at all in our state, which was not the intent of the legislature. So I think that both sides of the aisle want to kind of buck federal law on just things of our choosing. I see the Republicans say we disagree with this point of federal law, and now I see something where maybe Democrats are saying we want to disagree with this part of federal law. So we all want to be mavericks. We just disagree what we want to be mavericks about. As a high school teacher, I'm walking this fine line here because I do see the effects of both prescription and non-prescription drugs in the high school setting with our teens every single day. The real reason that you're going to see me vote yes on all four of these bills today is because of Imogene. What really made this real for me was my grandma, who had a real, true, walking, working, loving relationship with Christ her entire life, suffered from fibromyalgia for many of her later years, and after falling and breaking a hip, was placed on hospice. She was given morphine by mouth every day, and a woman who could not speak or move found the strength to lift up her hand and bat that morphine drop away from her mouth. And her daughter decided that Imogene was saying she was not ready to go home to meet her maker. And she was desperate to find a way to alleviate pain. And as surprised as we all were, because this is an Assemblies of God family, very, very Christian family, they were able to get a very, very low dosage of medical marijuana in the state of Washington. And none of us could believe it, that Imogene was able to walk, talk, leave the house, eat at restaurants, and had a very high quality of life until she got her household in order and told her family members that she was ready to go. And we were able to celebrate her life and say goodbye to her when she felt that God really was calling her home. And those are the reasons that I am going to say, yes, I think Montana legislature should take a stance on this issue, and mine will be yes. Thank you for your letting me tell my story.
Any other discussion? Representative Kursky, and I got it right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My votes are actually going to be a little different on all four of these today. But I guess the overreaching that I've kind of wrestled with, I mean, we've only had really a day to wrestle with this, right? But what I've really wrestled with is when we're elected as lawmakers and what we do with that authority, and whether we abdicate that authority to courts or whether we take on that rulemaking authority. And I think that this presents with us a really interesting philosophical question, whether we say we are the body that makes rules and then we present it to the court, or whether we say, and I think that there's a few instances that we can look at this, but whether we say we made a rule, it's within courts, courts have kind of responded, we're going to respond and do that dance, or whether we abdicate that authority and say, we've done what we can, courts, you figure it out. I feel strongly within my philosophy that as an elected official, it's our job to make rules. And if we vote yes or no today, I guess my challenge to us as a committee is that we vote no or yes on the merits of the bills before us, and not thinking that we can brush this off to the duty of the courts. Having that scope in my mind and that contextualization and that framing for me as I make decisions, I guess the bill that's in front of us right now, 340, I think, from what I can tell, the historical analysis of medical marijuana in the state, I don't think that 25 is too burdensome. And that's a rule, as a rule maker, I'm comfortable saying, I think that that's an okay rule. And if the courts want to strike it down, that's fine, but I'm comfortable with that rule. So I guess I just wanted that lens to be out there as we make decisions. I think campaign finance can be one of those. The courts have specifically spoken to us as legislators saying, if you don't deal with campaign finance reform, we will for you. And I think that we're seeing a lot of us struggle around what that means. No matter what party we are, we're kind of struggling. How do we make that rule? And I think that this is another area with that. And I would just challenge us as a body of lawmakers today to make sure that we really take on that mantle of responsibility, and knowing that that's our responsibility to make the rules, no matter what our votes are, but that we not abdicate that authority to the courts, and we prudently move forward.
Any other discussion? Representative Hill.
Thanks a lot. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I had the great pleasure or possibly displeasure to serve last session when we worked through
Closer to your mic.
a myriad of medical marijuana bills. And in fact, from my perspective, the legislation that's currently the law of the state of Montana is not what the voters in 2004 voted for. I think for all intents and purposes, the Montana Marijuana Act that was passed by the 2011 legislature was frankly repeal in disguise, and, which is why I will support the 4 bills today. I think that they are attempting to make a system that has made it basically unworkable to be a physician, to be a caregiver, or to be a patient. And in 2004, the voters of the state of Montana made it pretty overwhelmingly clear that they wanted access to the medicinal use of medical marijuana. When I say that, though, through last session, I think that we all can agree that the 2004 legislation that existed through 2011 needed some sideboards. I think that the sideboards we put on, again, went too far. But that's not to say that I don't think that the Montana Marijuana Act right now is wholly unconstitutional. I think it clearly violates the Supremacy Clause of the United States Supreme Court, the United States Constitution. The bottom line is that the Federal Controlled Substance Act is controlling on this issue. Medical marijuana is illegal. Now, there's between 11 and 14 states where the people of the citizens of their states have now decided differently. And they've done that either through medical marijuana acts or the state of Washington, for all intents and purposes, who's legalized marijuana. And so I just implore our federal government I understand that there's a bill right now in Congress. Congressman Jared Polis, a friend of mine from Colorado, he has a bill. It's a bipartisan bill, I think, House Bill 6066, I think, which is, I guess, going to allow it to have state control, that states will decide their own medical marijuana laws, or their own marijuana laws in general. And I implore the federal government to do that. The people of this country are asking them to do that. And I'd like for that. But in the interim, I sure hope you'll pass these amendments to at least make it a workable system. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I need to make a comment. I need to
Rep-
also get Bob's.
Representative Smith, I'll make a comment before you do it, Representative Smith. It's always interesting to me to discuss these types of things, like the last bill that Representative Jacobson, the personal experience that he had in the field, and the pain and the suffering that he's seen. I mean, it really touches my heart. It really does. When I think about Representative Curtis and her mom and the things that, I mean, her grandma and that kind of stuff, I mean, that gets me. But let me just tell you, just give you a brief look into another side of this. In the 80s, I was the operations chief on the campaign against marijuana planting in California. I had the opportunity to literally organize and cut down thousands of marijuana plants. On one particular day, it was a hot summer day, we went into the Kings Range National Conservation Area, which is nothing more than a big park. And right on the edge of it, there was this little house that these people had built, and about 300 plants. And when we came in there with helicopters and jumped out, we had to jump about 15 feet because it was so steep. But when we started securing the area, because back then they used booby traps to try to hurt us. And after we secured it, we found this little 8-year-old boy in that shack, and he could barely breathe. And me and another officer literally gave him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Thought we kind of had him coming back. We carried him about 200 yards up this hill. We literally had to hold him up to get him into a helicopter, and we rushed him to the hospital. And after that day was over, I went to the hospital to see how he was doing. He died of pneumonia. In Garberville, which is right outside the Kings Range, because everybody smokes marijuana and it's a damp climate, they have the highest rate of pneumonia death in the United States. And most of them are children because their parents smoke marijuana with the children in the room. That's just one experience with drugs. Marijuana is a Schedule I drug. There is almost no medicine that's a Schedule I. Cocaine's a Schedule II. Most prescriptions are Schedule Vs. This stuff is disguised as medicine. It makes you delusional. It is psychologically addicting, and it's physiologically addicting, and it absorbs in your fat cells, which is the most and dangerous drug there is. This is not a drug. It's a poison. Since 1955, the University of Mississippi has studied this, and they found no medicinal purpose for marijuana since that time. It's a joke.
I think we just had it on Wednesday.
That's why I'll be voting against all of these. Representative Smith.
I just have a quick question. Are you moving, or are you questioning?
Oh, I'm still talking?
Okay, good.
Okay. But if you'd like to speak first, that would be fine.
I just, I'm just wondering. There's some stuff from the U.S. Attorney's Office and some memos from previous, and we just heard these on Wednesday. Would there be an objection to moving all 4 of these to executive action on Monday and giving us a weekend? I guess I realize that I think that probably we're all decided on how we're going to vote, but to wrap my head around the historical context of some of this, I would really appreciate the weekend to look at these bills.
We have 4 bills on Monday, 4 bills on Wednesday, and we'll probably have 5 and 6 by the time we get there. This is piling up. We'll do executive action today.
Chairman Howard, like Representative Hill and like Chairman Howard, I've been involved with all the marijuana bills, even further back to 2009. And when we got to the last session, it was obvious that things were going to need to be done, that the initiative that came out in 2004 wasn't reacting and doing the things that a lot of people wanted it to do. And so as we went through the different medical marijuana bills, took a look at them, we had some come out of an interim committee, we had some from the Senate, we had some from here. What finally ended up was we had what you call a free conference committee, where we got senators together, representatives together, Democrats and Republicans, and came up with a bill that, in my opinion, reflected what the people did vote for in 2009. I spent quite a bit of time with the other people that were on the committee polling the ballot language for the initiative. I spent quite a bit of time looking at the arguments for and against it. And if you want to do a little bit more research and you want to go back and look what those initiatives look like, I would think you would probably say, you know, we did end up with something pretty similar to what 2004 had. That was my intent when I worked on that, to get it back to what the people voted for. When we had the initiative in 2012, the people that were proponents of getting rid of Senate Bill 423 put it to the people. And we had, I think it was 57% of the people said they were satisfied with what the legislature had done. Now, in that bill, to Representative Curtis's concerns, a person can use marijuana. There's two different kinds of providers, one that provides it for smoking and one that provides it for tinctures. I'm not sure from her discussion which it was that was used, but that's available. And when you look at the original ballot language, it said something similar to the best thing about this initiative was that people will be able to grow their own marijuana so they won't have to deal on the black market. And I think there was a lot of people at that time that looked at it and said it was for people just like Representative Curtis' grandmother, where they could grow their own, they could use an infused product. If they were too ill to do it, which Representative Curtis' grandmother sounds like she was, they could get a person to take and do it for them. Very, very limited use, very limited use. And it went way past that. So I'm very comfortable in voting no on all of these bills. This issue is not going to go away. It'll continue to evolve, I'm sure, but I'm very much in favor of letting it percolate for a while. And like I said, the people have voted, and I will vote no on all four of them.
Shall we start to move the bills? We're going to just start moving each bill, and you can ask question. If there's additional short comment you want to make, I'm not opposed to that. But if you would like to, we can go vote through these right now. Go ahead and move.
Chairman Howard, I would move House Bill 340. Do pass.
You want to just okay. You want to just say what it is real quick? Just read the.
House Bill 340 is the one to eliminate the restrictions on the number of marijuana cards that could be recommended by a doctor in a year's time.
Somebody like to call question or?
Question.
Question? Please, roll call vote.
Representative Smith?
No.
Representative Curtis?
Yes.
Representative Flynn?
No by proxy.
Representative Gursky?
No.
Representative Harris?
No by proxy.
Representative Hill?
Yes.
Representative Ingraham?
No by proxy.
Representative Jacobson?
No.
Representative Lenz?
No.
Representative Pearson?
No.
Representative Redfield?
No.
Representative Richner?
No by proxy.
Representative Vance?
No by proxy.
Representative Wagner?
No.
Chairman Howe? Representative Pease Lopez?
Yes, by proxy.
Chairman Howard?
No.
Motion fails 3-13 with Representative Flynn, Harris, Ingraham, Richner, and Vance, and Pease Lopez voting by proxy.
Would you like to move on?
Chairman Howard, I'd move a do pass on House Bill.
Let's do a reverse and table. Somebody mind make the motion?
Make the motion to reverse and table House Bill 340.
We'll have a voice vote.
Sorry.
All those in favor of signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
And all the proxies. Representative Rickner, Representative Ingraham, Representative Vance, Representative Harris, and Representative Flynn vote aye by proxy.
As does Representative Pease Lopez.
Okay, 341.
Chairman Howard, I would move a due pass on House Bill 341. This was to allow the medical marijuana caregiver to receive compensation.
Somebody call question?
I call the question.
Would the secretary take the roll? Vote.
Representative Smith,
No.
Representative Curtis,
Yes.
Representative Flynn,
No by proxy.
Representative Gursky,
Yes.
Representative Harris,
No by proxy.
Representative Hill,
Yes.
Representative Ingraham,
No by proxy.
Representative Jacobson,
No.
Representative Lenz,
No.
Representative Pearson,
No.
Representative Redfield,
No.
Representative Richner,
No by proxy.
Representative Vance,
No by proxy.
Representative Wagner,
No.
Representative Pease Lopez,
Yes by proxy.
Chairman Howard,
No.
Are you sure?
Am I sure?
motion fails 4-12 with Representative Flynn, Harris, Ingraham, Richner, Vance, and Pease Lopez voting by proxy.
I move to reverse and table House Bill 341.
We'll have a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Rickner, Ingraham, Vance, Harris, and Flynn
And
vote
Pease Lopez.
aye by proxy. At all.
At all. All right, two more.
Chairman Howard, I'd move a due pass on House Bill 342, which is to remove the limitations on patients medical marijuana caregivers can serve.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I'm going to speak in favor of this one independently. And it goes to, and I'm sorry, I ran back from the bathroom. It ties in 341 and 342, again, tie into this idea from my perspective of the 2011 legislature passed repeal in disguise. And this is why I believe that. If we are going to have a medical marijuana act, and we are saying that for all intents and purposes that we are respecting the will of the voters in 2004, when they did tell us overwhelmingly that they wanted access to medical marijuana. If we're saying that we want folks, whether they are Representative Curtis's grandmother or whoever the patient would be, for those of us who served last session and even this session, we hear from people all over the state who still want access to medical marijuana. And so on House Bill 341, which we just defeated, to ask someone to provide products and services for free. We don't ask Eli Lilly, we don't ask Pfizer to come into the state of Montana and provide us their drugs for free. And I just think that, again, repeal in disguise. Either we have an act or we don't. And to me, it's just sort of ludicrous that we would expect a medical marijuana provider to provide things for free. And on top of that, the current one, 342, that we would we would then say, okay, we'll do it for free for a very small amount of patients. My understanding of how this works is that it doesn't work that way, that either we expect this to be something that's going to work for patients, who this is for, or it's not going to work for patients. And as I said last session, if I'm a grandma like Representative Curtis's grandma and I live in Miles City or Ekalaka, good luck trying to find a caregiver to have a small amount of patients and provide it all for free. I don't think, again, we ask major drug companies to do that, and I don't think we should ask the people of the state of Montana. So anyway, I will oppose it.
Somebody call question.
Question.
Would the secretary please call the roll?
Representative Smith,
No.
Representative Curtis,
Yes.
Representative Flynn,
No by proxy.
Representative Gursky,
Yes.
Representative Harris,
No by proxy.
Representative Hill,
Yes.
Representative Ingraham,
No.
Representative Jacobson, Representative Lenz,
No.
Representative Pearson,
No.
Representative Redfield,
No.
Representative Richner,
No by proxy.
Representative Vance,
No by proxy.
Representative Wagner,
No, in reality.
Representative Pease Lopez,
Yes, by proxy.
Chairman Howard.
No.
Motion fails 4-12 with Representative Flynn, Harris, Richner, Vance, and Pease Lopez voting by proxy.
Reverse.
Chairman, I make a motion to reverse and table House Bill 342.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please same sign.
All the proxies vote yes.
Ditto.
Ditto.
That's right.
Moving right along.
Chairman Howard, I'd move House Bill 343, which is to eliminate, do pass, which is to eliminate medical marijuana record keeping and unannounced inspection provisions.
Question? Somebody call a question?
Question.
Would the secretary please take the roll?
Representative Smith,
No.
Representative Curtis,
Yes.
Representative Flynn,
No by proxy.
Representative Gursky,
Yes.
Representative Harris,
No by proxy.
Representative Hill,
Yes.
Representative Ingraham,
No.
Representative Jacobson,
No.
Representative Lenz,
No.
Representative Pearson, Representative Redfield,
No.
Representative Richner,
No by proxy.
Representative Vance,
No by proxy.
Representative Wagner,
No.
Representative Pease Lopez,
Yes, by proxy.
Chairman Howard. Motion fails 4-12 with Representative Flynn, Harris, Richner, Vance, and Pease Lopez voting by proxy.
A reverse?
I move we reverse and table.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Ditto.
And aye for all proxies.
Committee, I just wanted to tell you that in the future, tabling is going to be on the table, okay? So be ready for that. And because every committee I'm in, that it's used both sides, it's a process that we use. I didn't want to do it today because I thought that there was some, there's some feelings here. And, but in the future, if there's a motion to table, we will just take a roll call.
Mr. Chair, just a point of order. I would just say I really appreciated how you handled the medical marijuana bills today. I thought that made a lot of sense for us just to talk about them at once and then vote them through and have people make comments. And I thought that was great. Just thought I'd tell you.
Well, thank you. I want you all to know, and I think you do know, I want this to be palms up, and I want us all to feel good about what we're doing. I mean, that is, in essence, what we need to do. We will take let's say 10 minutes at the most, and we will then hear Senator Art Whittick.